Welcome to my channel Thoughtful Pakistan. Who is entitled to gratuity? There are the following conditions to check the entitlement of gratuity. I. Provision of statutory gratuity is applicable to the establishment, i.e. industrial or commercial, in respect to the number of workmen employed, as explained above. 2. An employee is a workman as defined in Section 2(I) of this ordinance as someone who is employed to do any skilled or unskilled, manual or clerical work. According to various courts' judgments, it is the nature of duties he is performing rather than his designation or wages which determine whether he is a workman or not. 3. Length of service should be excess to 6 months or more. Rate of gratuity. Earlier the rate of gratuity was 15 days of wages for each completed year of service, and later on, it was revised as 20 days' wages. Right now the present rate of gratuity is 30 days' wages for every completed year of service or for any period in excess of 6 months in the same establishment. How to calculate the amount of gratuity payable? Following is the procedure to calculate the payable gratuity of an eligible worker. Calculate per day wage rate based on 26 days in a month by dividing monthly wages by 26 days. Rate per day is multiplied by the rate of gratuity, which is 30 days' wages, i.e. per day wage x 30, and finally, calculate the payable amount of gratuity for the entire service period. The formula is per day wage x 30, rate of gratuity, x no of service years. 6-month rule is followed to decide whether to pay gratuity for the last year of service, depending upon whether the service is more or less than 6 months. For service of more than 6 months, gratuity is payable, otherwise not. The 26 days month is defined in the explanation of Section 3 of the Minimum Wages for Unskilled Workers Ordinance, 1969, i.e. month means a normal working period of 26 days calculated at the rate of 48 hours of work per week. Similarly, the minimum wages for skilled and semi-skilled workers is also based on 26 days in a month. The yearly provincial gazettes specify the same for these categories of workers. Meaning of wages for calculation of gratuity. All payments or allowances which are regular, permanent and non-contingent in nature, no matter by what name they are called, are included in wages for the purpose of gratuity. Any payments which are irregular, unpredictable and or depend on the goodwill of employer, or contingent in nature, payable upon existence or disappearance of certain conditions, example, profit, which could not be predicted in advance, then those payments are not part of wages for the purpose of calculating gratuity. In the case of a fixed-rated worker, gratuity is to be calculated on the basis of wages admissible to the worker in the last month of service. In the case of a piece-rated worker, gratuity is to be calculated on the basis of highest pay drawn during the last 12 months, for every completed year of service or any part thereof in excess of 6 months. Payment of gratuity in case of death of worker. In case of death of a workman, gratuity is payable to the legal dependents of a workman. As mentioned above, death may not necessarily occur on duty, but the worker should be in continuous service at that time. The amount of gratuity, in this case, is transferred to Workmen Compensation Commissioner, who will then allocate this amount to the dependents of a worker. The dependents of a deceased worker include his widowed mother, his own widow, minor son, and unmarried daughter. The Commissioner shall proceed with the allocation of the deposit amount to the dependents of the deceased in accordance with the provisions of Section 8 of the Workmen's Compensation Act, 1923. If the employer fails to deposit the gratuity amount, then the dependents owe